Okay. Hello, hello. I hope that everyone can hear me. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Let me know if I shall put the volume a bit higher of the microphone. But I tested it and I think it's good. I tried also to put it in a way that you will not hear Ephraim in the back too much. Later you will need to brush his teeth, so yeah, you might be part of his most favorite part of the day because then he's usually a bit louder. So welcome to contemplating the why question, and we will start in a moment with the contemplation. I just would like to have a few voices in the chat saying that you can hear me, so that I know everything works, everything is all right, and that we can continue. Good. Okay, please let me know if there are any problems at any later point with the stream, because YouTube is sometimes a bit weird when it doesn't get any video, because it just gets the audio here. We're just doing audio, so it's easier with the bandwidth, and also you don't really need my voice. It's not really necessary to see me sitting here in front of the computer. But YouTube is never really telling me properly how the status of the stream is, because it's just doesn't understand that people just send a picture. This is not what YouTube likes. So let me know if at any point there's any problem, and if you have any problem entering the chat, for example, because you don't have a Google account, then you can always write an email with any questions and so on and so forth. Good, so let's start from here. The first thing is that I want you to do something, and it will be a contemplation together. Of course, I will share the ideas that we gathered over time doing this exercise, this contemplation already with many people. But in a moment, I want you to do something, and for this you will need a pen and a paper. Good, so if you don't have, then you can take it now. Of course, you can also do it digital, so if you're somewhere out, you don't have a pen and paper, you can also do it on the phone. And the reason why this contemplation or exercise, or whatever you want to call it, started is that many people are asking, why are you doing this? What is the reason for it? When people see you practicing outside or in a facility where there are other people often come and ask, what is it about, and why are you doing it? And I always felt that it's a bit tricky actually to answer this question, because there are many layers to it, and I always also felt that I don't really want to kind of answer the question. So I need to say also that contemplating about this, about the why question, can be also in some cases negative, because sometimes it's very nice to stay in the naive mode of just doing, not asking questions. So you need to be a bit careful with the exercise, because you can fall into the hole of absurdity. So with this being said, we keep the exercise on a level that is I think a positive level, and then if you want to get deeper, that's up to you. Good. So what I would like to ask you to do is you write down on the pen and paper, on the paper with your pen. You write down, if you ask someone in the park, a runner, a jogger, runner, someone that runs, imagine you are asking him, why are you running? Just imagine you are asking him and write down the possible answers. So imagine you're asking several people, lots of different people, and imagine all the different answers that you can get why someone is running. And I give you 5 minutes for this, and then we gather the answers in the chat. So I would like you people to then write in the chat the possible answers, and we look at them, and from there we continue. Good. So 5 minutes for this. So see you back in 5 minutes. Okay, back. Yeah, let me hear the answer. Some are already starting, so let's get some stuff here into the chat. Good, there are already some things coming in. Please share more. Andreas is already saying some things that are all very different, which is very nice to see that there is this can be this huge differences to have training, endurance, lose weight, fun, and get head free are in a way very, very different things. And things like lose weight can also then have different sub whys, because when you ask one time why, you can ask why again and 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 again. At some point you will run out of an answer. This is also what I meant with the danger of the contemplation. So we stay with a few whys only, and you know the child that asks why, then you say, then ask why again, and you say, and at some point you just don't know anymore what to answer. Like you are also out of answers. Yeah, Yuri writes, why not? Felt like it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Forget the day, get clear head, competition, staying in shape, be outside. Yeah, I want to come back to the lose weight, because then you ask, why do you want to lose weight? And now, for example, the person could answer to look better, or to be more healthy, or usually it would be one of these two, or the third one could be so I can perform better. This could be, let's say you have a fighter, he wants to lose weight, or you want to lose weight because you can do things better that rely on a lower weight, something like climbing, for example. So there can be very like many different answers to the question, why do you want to lose weight? And then let's say the person is saying, because I want to be more attractive, I want to be more lean. If he's in a culture where this is considered attractive, to be more lean than to have weight. And then you could ask, why do you want to be attractive, blah blah blah. But as I said, we will stay here. To feel, to move, because I feel the need to. It feels good. Kim, you're right. Don't know. I've been sitting all day, and now I feel that I have to move somehow. Sense of obligation. So I feel that I have to. Yeah, good. You can keep things coming in, and now you can start to categorize the things a bit. And I already started this with talking about why someone wants to lose weight, or that something like getting the head free, or fun, or losing weight, or endurance are very, very different things in a way, although they can be all happening together. And this is of course important to not to forget that most likely it's not just one thing. This is also why on my website there's this phrase which kind of was a joke or is still a joke. It's still a joke. The I teach nothing. Because I felt like, okay, people want to know what is it, why, what is it about, and blah blah blah. But it's so much that is happening that I just thought, okay, I teach nothing. That's the most easy answer for me. Because then it's like, okay, good, that's it. Yeah, and somehow the answer sounds very deep, but it's just, I'm just overwhelmed by what's happening here. I don't even know where I should start. But let's get a bit more clarity about the different whys. Okay, and I will give you some categories or some different reasons, some different ways to categorize the why. First of all, maybe you have heard about extrinsic and intrinsic. So extrinsic means from outside and intrinsic means from inside, which basically means you can have motivations or whys coming up from you, from inside, something like because it feels fun, or because I want to get my head free, or because I want to be more healthy, or because I'm interested in it, and so on. And then you have the extrinsic whys, the extrinsic reasons, the extrinsic motivation, which can be because someone is telling you to do it, but it can be also that you have an outside entity that you want to impress, for example. Yeah, but here it becomes a bit wishy-washy, because it can be then extrinsic or intrinsic. So I can have an extrinsic, somewhat extrinsic thing that I want to be the best in a competition or something like this. It's in a way extrinsic because the pressure of being the best comes from outside. But on the other hand, it is an intrinsic thing because I want to feel happy. So we have the extrinsic and the intrinsic, and you could say that in some ways the intrinsic has a power that the extrinsic doesn't have. If you just think about something like school, where the teacher is telling you what to do, and you need to do many different things that you're actually not really interested in, and there's a huge difference in your ability to learn something and to keep something, especially to keep something in your head, in yourself, if you're intrinsically motivated. Yeah, so think about someone that learns math because he has to, because he wants to get good grades. He will probably not get as far or as deep into mathematics as someone who is just in love with mathematics and is very intrinsically motivated because he's so interested in the topic. And yeah, in my experience, this is especially true if you look sometime later in what stuck from the stuff that you learned. And if you're intrinsically motivated, then it often stays longer than when you're extrinsically motivated. Good. So we have the extrinsic and we have the intrinsic, and then we have the time. Then we have the time. So you've written about things like, let me see, fun. We have fun, and we have, on the contrary, for a marathon. So there's a big difference in the time that, let me phrase it differently. There's a big difference in doing it in the now, for the now, or for a later point. And I can also do things that are actually motivated a lot from the past, and of course this happens a lot. But let's stick with this now or in the future. So the difference between being and becoming, you can say. Because if I do it for fun, I do it for the present moment. I have fun in doing it. Yeah, this is for the present moment, because probably if you stop running, then the fun is basically gone. Maybe you are left with a good feeling that you had fun, with the memory that you had fun, but the fun is in the moment. Whereas training for a marathon is for something that is happening in the future. And this is a very, very big point. This is a very, very big point. So I will stay a moment here, because all the time we are doing things that are either for the present moment or for a later moment. Yeah. Now, if I'm thirsty and I drink, it is for the present moment. I'm not thirsty anymore after drinking, on the one hand. But on the other hand, I also drink to stay alive, not just in the now, but also for longer, or to be able to perform, or yeah. And training, the idea of training is actually always for something in the future, because you're training something, you try to get better at something to then use it in the future, because most of the time the progress doesn't happen in the instant of practicing. And this is very clear when you do something like strength training, where it just needs time to recover, and only then you will be stronger. Whereas while training, you will actually get weaker. Yeah, so you need, of course, the rest. And other things like more coordinative things, let's say I'm practicing on the piano, I get better while doing it, but still then I have to take a break at some point and then come back later, and then the jump will actually have happened. So training is for the future, that I will be stronger tomorrow, or that I will be able to play the piano better tomorrow. And on the other hand, I can also just play the piano for the now and be very happy in the now, and yeah, enjoy this happiness, which is basically in the now, which is very clear. Like all the literature, all the people that are talking about happiness, blah 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 blah, it is always that happiness is only if you don't worry too much about the future, but if you are in the present moment. And of course, I can be also happy about something that will happen in the future that I think about, but this will bring me into the present moment. Yeah. So happiness is in the now, and I can play the piano now for my happiness or for the happiness of other people in the now, and I can practice the piano to use it later, maybe to create happiness again. And as I said, these things can be also combined, but not always they are. And it is very crucial here to understand that there are things that might be not fun in the moment of doing it. And I talked about this in the video low sugar training, that there are things, they are not so fun in the moment you do it, but later when you're there, when you arrive, let's say, this is when you reap the benefits. And then there are other things that are so much enjoyment in the morning. If you sing, if you dance, if you enjoy being in the forest, and so on and so forth. Yeah, you can find so many things. And on the other hand, you can find so many things that are in the moment not such a pleasure, but in the end, they will be very beneficial for your well-being. And if people don't understand this, that it can be so beneficial to do something now that is maybe not so fun, but it will in the end give them more well-being, they might run into trouble. I don't say that they will, but they might run into trouble. Yeah, getting food might not always be the most the most fun thing to do, but eating it is. Yeah. Good. Let me just see if there's what is written here. How to know when a motivation is intrinsic and not actually extrinsic. Sometimes I guess we only think that the motivation is intrinsic, but actually the idea came originally from the outside. This is a very good point, and I talked about this in the video Vordenkleistung, where I claim that often people are want to achieve something or motivated to do something, and think this is their wish, it comes from them, but actually it is induced from something outside. So if you're part of a certain community that values certain things, let's say cars are very valued all over the world, actually, only not if you're on Bornholm. I think there's one island in Germany where there are no cars. So yeah, if you're on this island, no one cares about cars. But in most places in the civilized world, yeah, I don't want to say civilized world, but in the world that is how do you say it, less inappropriate, capitalistic world, in a capitalistic world, then people are often thinking about cars as status objects, and then thinking maybe this I want to have that and that car. But obviously the motivation is somewhat extrinsically, but as I said, it's actually even hard to define what is extrinsic and intrinsic if you really think about it, because in a way we are always so connected to others and the thing around us. I mean, I can say, okay, I strive for happiness. This is clearly intrinsic. Or even then you could say, yeah, people told you it's about happiness, blah, 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 blah. So you can always discuss. And then I can clearly say, if someone is there with a whip in his hand telling me, I will give you 10 whips if you don't solve this mathematical equation, it is somewhat clearly extrinsic. But then you can even say, yeah, but the intrinsic thing is that you don't want to feel suffering. So don't take it too serious, this categorization of extrinsic and intrinsic, but it helps a bit to think about it, that there are things that feel like, this is coming more from me, I do it for myself, I I dance, I feel happy, or I dance, I want to impress a possible mating, mating, someone to mate with, yeah, or I want to yeah, make it rain. I want to make it rain, so I dance. I want to make it rain. I don't do it for myself. I do it for the crops, which is in the end again for myself. So you see, when it becomes a circle, yeah. Yeah, Max is writing, it's important to look inside yourself before training to find out if the intrinsic motivation or desire of what you want to practice is in conflict to the things that you should do from the plan. Perfect. This is where we are getting now to. And it's again very close to the Vordenkleistung. And probably many people, if you would ask them why do they run, will tell you, I do it because I enjoy it. I do it because I want to feel more healthy, and so on and so forth. But then there will be also, yeah, because I was told this, like this, I will lose weight because I was told I should move, I should do some sports by the doctor, and I know running is something that we can do. Yeah? Or as Max is pointing out, if something from a training plan or a trainer telling you, or a teacher or whatever, and then it is always the thing to evaluate, is this actually matching what I really want to do, or what's coming out of me, also what I'm interested in, or not. But again, if you do it too early, it can be very detrimental. So I give you yeah, sort of an example, so, or to be more clear about it. Let's say you go to something that is not so easy to grasp. What could it be? Some sort of meditation practice. Maybe you go to a meditation practice, and you do some stuff, some meditation, or you do, this is a good example. You do the Karate Kid thing. So you want to learn karate, and then you go to this master, and then he makes you clean something. So, and then you think, this is not really what I want to do. I want to do karate, and you go, and you don't realize that this is actually leading you to the mastery of of karate. So if we ask ourselves too early, is this really what we want to do? Or sometimes we are not realizing that this is actually leading us to what we really want to do. On the other hand, if I go somewhere and there's something clearly happening that is not very nice, like in the Milgram, I think it's the Milgram experiment, where he put basically an actor to some electrical wires, and he told the person coming in, press this button if he answers the question wrong. I think it was like this. I don't remember fully. You can read up the Milgram experiment. And then they are upping the dosage, and the actor is acting like he has a lot of pain, and they are going to a dosage where actually he would die if it would be the proper if it would have been done properly, if it would have been real electricity. And of course, this is a situation where you should directly ask yourself, where I am, why am I here? Do I want to do that? Yeah, so of course this evaluation has to be there. But if there is no danger, then the evaluation might need to come a bit later. Good. Something that you people didn't write so much, but what I find a bit funny, something that I just want to mention, is that people can sometimes have very weird whys and means of that they are very scientific in a way. If you think about, let's say you think about some coordination exercise and people say, yeah, it's for the left side of the brain or for the right side of the brain and blah 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 blah, or this for to train the mitochondria and stuff like this, which is of course a very reductionist way of answering the why question, because yeah, try to do something that is just training the mitochondria, but maybe people now heard what the mitochondria is doing, why it's important to train it in a way. But you could also just say, yeah, I'm doing something for my health or for my endurance or but it is quite modern to get so scientific about things, and it sounds always very good, but you can also just stay with feeling happy or being healthy and so on and so forth. So now I'm coming to 3 categories that we are using. It's not that this is the holy grail now, but we are using to answer the question for us, what do we want to do? And first we answer basically the why question, and then we come to the what. Not that you have to do it this way, but this can be a way. So all the things that you have said, I can categorize it in 3 things, basically. Not all, but most of it, because there are some things a bit more abstract that some people said. So first category is happiness, enjoyment, interest, and the word I always forget how it is in English is inspiration. Fascination is better. Begeisterung is in German. Begeisterung. Yeah, fascination. So I say it again. Happiness, enjoyment, interest, fascination. This is one category. I know that interest and happiness can be some very, very different things. Like to be interested in something, people say to be interested in something doesn't mean that it's about happiness or definitely not about fun, because I can be interested in something. I can be interested in something and yeah, don't feel much fun doing it. That's very clear, but probably I would claim that happiness and interest are very connected, but you could say, okay, I do this because I feel happy when I do it. It makes me happy. Or in other situations, you might say, I'm very, very interested and fascinated by the topic. Yeah. Or you could also say, this gives me meaning. So this is one category, and parts of this category, which is the fun, happiness, this is connected again with the present moment, but this category is not necessarily just about the present moment, but it somewhat includes that I do what I do as an end in itself. Or in German you would say Zweck an sich. Yeah? Instead of Mittel zum Zweck, means to an end, Zweck an sich. So I do something as an end in itself. So I do the learning the piano not because I want to do anything other with it, just because I'm interested in playing the piano. This is the end in itself in it. I want to play the piano. And notice the opposite of it is, for example, if I run to the bus, someone is asking me, why do you run? I say, I run to the bus. then it is clearly for a means to an end. So I want to achieve something with it that is not the running. I don't care about the running. I just care about getting to the bus. Yeah, it's something that hasn't been written so much by you. Something as answers, I think, to use it in this very practical way, the running, but also let's say something like staying in shape. This is then the running would be a means to an end. It's not about running. I don't care about running. It's just for staying in shape. So it could be also any other thing basically. But then again, it can be connected both to do it as an end in itself and as a means to an end. So I do the running for the running itself because I love it, and I also do it because I want to train my heart, for example, because I want to be more healthy, and I do it because I want to get somewhere. That's maybe also a good example. So you run somewhere, I run somewhere, but at the same time I enjoy it. It's somewhat an end in itself, but on the other hand, it is an means to an end. Yeah, and to balance this out, I think has some value to balance that out. So to be practical in some ways. So I do it for something. Yeah, I drill the screws into the wood because I'm building a shelf. I don't care about drilling. I care about building the shelf. Means to an end. And then to do other things, or at the same time to enjoy the process, to do it somewhat as an end in itself. I enjoy also the drilling. I like also to have the drill in the hand and blah 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 blah. Or to have practices that are really just a means to an end. I don't want to do anything other with it. I just want to dance or sing or climb or play the piano or just for this. Yeah, and there's no other reason. It's just an end in itself. Good. So this was a bit of a side thing that was actually very, very important. Now I put it in already. This too, and it's very crucial to understand this in a way, because this question comes up all the time. All the time people are asking, why are we doing this exercise, for example? And then sometimes I would answer, this exercise is not an end in itself, definitely not. I don't care much about this exercise. It's just a means to an end to achieve something, like, for example, to gain more strength or more mobility or something like this. And then there are things that are just an end in itself, in a way. And something like the handstand, for example, is something like this. You can use it to achieve other things with it, but it is also an end in itself. And many people are using it like this. And many people, they are just doing handstands as an end in itself. There's no real reason, basically, to do it. It's just an end in itself. Good. So the first category was happiness, enjoyment, interest, fascination. Now we come to the second category, which is health, well-being. It's good for me. This is the second category. So your health, your well-being, or when you just say, this is good for me to do. Yeah, coming back to the running, this could mean that you know that the running will make you more healthy. Maybe you don't even need to enjoy the running much. Probably it will help if you enjoy the running. You will probably get more healthy from it. But even if you don't enjoy it so much, it will train your heart, blah, blah, blah. This will be probably good for your health. If you don't overdo it and you injure your knees, this will be pretty bad for your health. But just imagine it's so simple that you run, there are no dangers, and you train your heart and whatever, like all sorts of things that you train. So there's the health, well-being, very very connected, but well-being can also mean in a way something more than health, something above health, because health, yeah, nowadays is defined quite, yeah, I mean, if you can walk and you don't have a fever, you're somewhat healthy, but well-being can be a bit on top of it. So I might do some extra things that are good for my well-being. Yeah, it can be again also running. It can be meditation. It can be all sorts of movement or cognitive things, or just doing things that I enjoy. And again, here there's a connection with the first category. Yeah, this all connected. Nothing is really isolated. So if I do something that is fascinating me, it is probably also good for my well-being, but it doesn't always need to be. Maybe I'm fascinated by something that is actually not good for my health. Let's say I'm such a fascinated runner. I run extreme amounts, and I run marathons and ultras and blah 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 blah, and eventually I injure myself because I'm not just fascinated, I'm obsessed, and then it will be actually detrimental for my health. Yeah, and the health, well-being, it's good for me. With this category, I mean something a bit more future kind of pointing to the future, something more pointing to the future. Yeah, so I'm running to stay healthy, to be healthy, and it's again something not happening necessarily in the moment of running, but after. So this is the second category. And the third category is performance. And performance can mean, I think that's the moment when Ephraim is brushing his teeth. So if you hear crying baby, everything is good. It's just some teeth brushing. Usually it's over after a few minutes. Definitely something he has inherited from me, because I'm also not a big enjoyer of teeth brushing. I do it in the second category, definitely not for happiness of the present moment. So the third category is performance, and it can be performance in the now, like running to the bus. This is happening now. I run because I want to get to the bus. I'm performing here. Or it can be something for later, so the training aspect. So I'm running so that when I play soccer, I can play better. Yeah, or any other endeavor where it makes sense to run or to have better endurance, or. So here we have the performance, and it can be performance because your job or something similar is in need of certain skills, let's say, but I also mean somewhat daily life performance. So like I said, practically if you run to the bus, or also I am running because then I know I can play better with my friends on the soccer field, as I said. Good. So the performance aspect. I repeat again. If I repeat many times, it will stick with you. First category is about happiness and interest. Second category is about health and well-being. And the third category is about performance, or that you are in actual need of the skills or the aptitudes or. And then there's one extra thing, and this is always the thing that I ask the people, and I will ask you in a moment to just sit down for yourself and to do it, which is because you're not good at it. That's the extra category, and it can be a subcategory of all three. So it is a subcategory and can be a subcategory of all three. Because the virtue is definitely a part of our training. Yeah, it's not all just about enjoyment and health and so on and so forth, but some things are also for the somewhat abstract idea of virtue, and this is because you're not good at it. So I would ask people, what is something you're struggling with? What is something that you're not good at? Write it down, and then we are training that. Yeah, let's also take time for this. And why? Because in a performance setting, it might be the best thing to do actually to heighten your performance. In a health setting, it might be what is missing for you. And in an interest, enjoyment, happiness setting, it might be that in the end, this will give you actually a lot of happiness, although the start will be a bit rocky. And for me, this is such an important point, because I have done many things throughout the years where I felt I'm really, really not good at this, and it's really not enjoyment for me at the moment. But then through the years, I started to enjoy these things more and more, because I eventually became much better at it through the practice. Again, we are at the low sugar practice. You are actually getting a lot out of it if you just stay long enough with something. And don't think that you are just genetically impaired or something like this to learn a certain thing. Of course, there are some genetic things. If you go to a competition where only people enter that are 2 meters tall and you're not 2 meters tall, yes, you will not be able to enter the competition. But let's say you want to learn an instrument and you just feel, it's hard for me, I don't feel very musical. It's just because you didn't practice it. And the first time you practice making music, of course, it will be more difficult for you than someone that is grown up with playing music. But it doesn't mean that you will not get anywhere. If you want to dive into this topic, which is a huge and interesting topic, the topic of you get somewhere with practice and not with genetics, then I would recommend to you to read the book Peak by Anders Ericsson. Anders Ericsson is the scientist that everyone quotes when they talk about the 10,000 hour rule and all this stuff. They're always quoting Anders Ericsson with his book Peak. So very, very, very recommended read, and not just reading it, but taking many notes and putting them all over your apartment. Good. So we have happiness, we have health, we have performance, we have because you're not good at it. And I would like to ask you now to take 5 minutes to think about it, to take some kind of practice. It can be physical movement practice, but it can be also something else. It can be also a more specific thing. Yeah, let's say something like circling around playing piano, or circling around writing, or circling around playing soccer. But still, I will be able to use these 3 main categories and then the extra subcategory. So yeah, this will be just for yourself. I don't want you to write it in the chat, just for yourself. And let's meet back in 5 minutes. Okay, coming back. Not sure if it was 5 minutes, but I think it was around 5 minutes. This simple thing of writing down what do you want to do according to this whys can be done regularly. Doesn't need to be done regularly, but it sometimes helps a lot. And when I work with someone, for example, in the online support that we do, then it is very helpful for me if people answer the question. But also notice you don't need to justify why you do things. As we mentioned, you can just do things, yeah, for the sake of doing it, for the enjoyment. And sometimes to think too much about why are you doing things can be actually detrimental. As I said, yeah, it is a tricky thing to ask the why question. It can be very, very good, and it can also help you to set up your practice in a way that is very long lasting and that makes sense and that keeps you happy and healthy and makes you able to perform and blah 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 blah. Yeah, but if you go too deep in a way, sort of, it can also take away from your practice, from your doing, and so on and so forth, which might also be not bad, because you're actually, maybe you're in a practice that where you're just escaping something, and then it's good to ask the why question, which, yeah, now we are getting a bit far, but I'm at the edge of talking about people that hide themselves in these practices that we do, so they don't have to face the bigger things, let's say. Yeah, okay. Ferdinand asked a question, and he said, you don't like it or feel kind of restricted in your freedom of teaching when pupils come to you with very fixed ideas about what to learn. Are they supposed then to forget about their original motivation, to be open about what they can learn from you? Hence, what is good or right motivation to start? And yeah, he's referring to my video teaching truthfully, and I don't want to say at all that you need to forget your motivation. The only thing that I want to say with this teaching truthfully idea is, if you want to let the teacher allow to say what he really has to say, the genuine thing that the person has to offer, then don't be too forceful with telling the person what you like and what you don't like. Of course, you need to come motivated. You need to have something of you that is interesting you. And now again, we come to the Vordenkleistung topic, because I have seen so many times that people come and they tell me what they want to learn, and then 3 months later we look at it again. All of a sudden it has changed completely, because their view of what's happening, what we're doing, was very, very narrow. And then I open up this big practice to them, and then it's, wait a second. Now we're doing so many interesting things. They're also so enjoying that I realize I don't care about this one thing that I said in the beginning that I wanted to learn so much anymore. But if the person just says, okay, there's this thing and I don't want to see anything other, then this cannot happen. So this is the idea about the teaching truthfully. But of course there can be situations when this makes sense. Yeah, let's say if I'm injured and I go somewhere to so that the person that can help me with the injury, and I say, okay, it is about my injury that I'm here, and I'm not interested in a tea ceremony, then yeah, that's perfectly understandable. I'm not doing tea ceremonies at the moment, but yeah, so if you have an injury, you don't have to tell me that you don't want to do a tea ceremony. I also, Max writes, I also think it can be kind of disaffecting to think about the why do I do things. Yeah. Yeah. And it can take really away from your power of doing. So there is the reflection, something that I think is so important. And the main thing about the reflection is to not do anything evil. That's the main reason for reflection. To not do anything evil. And then the next thing can be for truth. Yeah, to stay truthfully, the reflection. But if you just reflecting, if you blah blah, yeah, reflecting all the time, you're in your head, you will never do anything. So you have to put it to the side at some point, the why question at the side, to actually be able to do. Yeah, and when you do, and then you don't reflect. Let's say, of course, I can do stop, reflect, but when I do, I don't reflect. It sounds a bit, yeah, weird in a way, but this is what's happening. So do, reflect, do both. But if I just do, never reflect, it can be very bad. If I just reflect and never do, it can be also very bad because I'm actually not doing anything and we are getting happy through doing. I claim here now. Yeah. If you think it's wrong, that's okay for me. Because maybe it is. Good. Let me know any thoughts. Let me know any questions now in the chat. Now is the time for it. Any questions, any thoughts that you want to share with all of us, or any questions that you want to have an opinion about. And at the time where I'm waiting for anything coming in, to have not an awkward silence. Not that I have any problem with an awkward silence, but yeah, maybe other people have. I just tell you a joke. So, yeah, I find it funny. As you see, I'm already laughing. But so there's a drunk guy, and he's under a street light. Yeah, and he's obviously like searching for something. He's like looking around there under the streetlight, and then a police officer comes and asks him, what are you searching for, mister? And then he says, I'm searching for my keys. And then the policeman says, so did you lose your keys over here? And then the drunk guy says, no, I actually lost them 50 meters over there. And then the police guy asks, so why are you looking here under the street light? Then he says, because there's more light here. Yeah, it's said that I cannot hear you laughing, but I guess everyone is like rolling on the floor at the moment and cannot type. Or you don't have any questions. I did such a non-controversial thing here that no questions are coming up. Then I asked, and then I will ask another thing, which is, I will have soon probably just a Q&A thing that will be a stream that I will share through the online newsletter, through the newsletter. You can sign up on my website, and in probably around 2 weeks I will just do a Q&A of asking, where people can ask whatever. I will not answer anything, but good questions I answer. And then I'm asking you if there's anything particularly that you have in mind as a topic for a future live stream. And there will be another one also coming up, most likely in the next weeks, about meditation with a very, very, very good friend of mine, Raphael, who's very experienced in meditation and is doing research about it, medical research as well, and has many, many, many years of different meditation practices. And I will do a live stream with him together where I just ask him questions. So it will not be about me. Ferdinand asks, what is a good teacher for you? That's a huge question. It's not so much connected to the why question. And since it's not so connected, I would say, Ferdinand, please keep this question and ask it when we do this Q&A soon. Yeah. And if you're not there, then send it in via email or something if you cannot attend then. But then I will answer this question because it will take me a few minutes to answer it. It will go way beyond the why question. Then Yuri writes, I think it can also have a somewhat empowering aspect when you have really thought it through. It can give you that feeling that your thoughts are standing firm, are aligned. Wonderful. Great. I like it, this positive thing. Yeah, I said a lot of caution, but of course I'm doing this because there's something positive about it. I'm just warning about the possible negativity, but I think it has some very, very empowering and positive implications, basically, if you know the meaning of what you're doing. Okay, Max writes, an Aikido teacher told me once, you can teach everything as long as you tell why. What do you think about this? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to answer why. You can just say it's an end in itself. So then, yeah, I mean, if you understood this once, that you can just say it's an end for in itself or something like this, you can just come up with this sort of answers that you can always give. Then yeah, you can teach everything, I guess. So it doesn't really make so much sense for me. I would say I would maybe rephrase it like you can teach the things that you can teach when you can also tell why you teach them or something like this. I'm not even sure if it's so important to be able to tell this because it's somewhat easy. I can also just say, yeah, it is a feeling. I feel that this is good, and that's also enough, actually. So then, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't give me much, this phrase. I don't know. That's what I think about it. Good last minute, if there's something coming in. If not, then we will close it. As I said, let me know if there's anything in any topic in particular you're thinking about for a future live stream. You can also send it via email. And then I might consider it. Good. Okay, guys. Yeah, thank you for attending. If any thoughts come up in the next days about this topic, because it's such an interesting topic, there's so much to think about, then feel free to send me an email to contact with K, with 2 Ks, German way, contact at josefbartz.de, and let me know your thoughts. And let me know your contemplation, if you would add something or if you think something that doesn't make sense. I'm always open to change things, to add things, to take things out. Yeah, this is not my ego is not connected to contemplating the why question at all. So if you have good thoughts, then I'm very open for it, and you can always send me an email. Thomas is asking, I was late to join. Will this stream be available for listening later? Yes, it will be. I've got a question, says Kevin. You said the handstand is kind of an end goal, the thing you train to do the handstand. What about prerequisites for the handstand? They have the same end goal, but maybe, yeah, if I understand you right, you mean something like, let's say, doing a body line drill or preparing your wrists. Yeah, I'm open. Now you're right. Okay, I'm opening my shoulders with a specific exercise to get a better handstand. So the exercise is to get better, but it has the same end goal. Yes, it becomes a word thing. Yeah, like always. Like when we get deeper, it's always a language thing. I would say yes. Then it is an exercise to get better at the handstand. So it's a means to an end, or Mittel zum Zweck in German, a means to an end, and the end is the handstand, and the handstand is the end in itself. But it could be also said that this is a whole package that comes together. Doesn't matter, but you understand that if you do shoulder opening exercise, that you actually don't care about the shoulder opening exercise, you care about the handstand. Yeah. Good. Good. Thank you for listening. Thank you for traveling with Deutsche Bahn. And see you at a later point in person or in the internet. And have a good evening, a good dinner, and goodbye. I hope you had a nice time in contemplating the why question.